Put these headphones in. We back at another episode of Back Second Dialogue. If y'all don't know by the name, it is Eric T. Back at it again. Try this real quick. Let me throw this away. Alright, anyway, let's get into the nitty gritty now. How's everybody been? Hope y'all had a great week. I don't know if it means anything to nobody, but Christmas is literally, not only that, I've just been noticing, like, I don't know, when you're an adult, or I don't know, maybe it's just how I've been moving. Maybe it could apply to anybody, I'm not sure. But time has been moving by slowly. Wait, did I say slowly? I meant quickly, sorry, I was trying to say, time moves quickly, but a lot of people be going through it kind of slow in a way. Very lackadaisical, just kind of in the motion, whatever. But yeah, time is going by really, really, really fast. Why does slow keep popping in my head? Really fast. Anyway, but yes, I noticed that in a lot of, like, especially for those that, I know y'all see me on this, but like, most people, I gotta pay bills somehow. But also, I know what it's like, as far as, I'm at the age where I see a lot of things changing as well. And also, when I see things changing, being able to adapt to it, because if you don't, you're going to fall behind. But what if all changes are good change? Why do I say that? Now, so, I don't know how y'all feel about this individual, but me personally, I think it was Lil Yachty, he was mentioning something about the state of hip hop. And I think he was on some interview, he was on something he was talking about it. I don't know, remember word for word, but I'll post it on the shorts or after. I'll let y'all check it out. I'll figure out how to edit it, but if y'all want to, y'all can check out the short and take a listen to what he said. But either way, just going off talking about how everything's trash and everything is just, carbon copy, blah, 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 right? Now, mind you, I'm all about don't shoot the messenger, right? But what if the messenger is the one giving out the bad news? Does that make sense? Like the messenger, don't shoot the messenger, right? If a person's giving out information that we need to hear, don't shoot the messenger. But what if the messenger gives out the bad news? What if the person spreading it is the reason behind it? Even the time changing, nigga, don't even sleep. But yeah, I was listening to this clip, and it had me thinking about, okay, how do I decipher this? Now, someone who, is I always say if you're not getting paid for something, then he's not really professional. I'll say aspiring producer in music. I don't know if y'all see me, but I need to start posting more stuff and start charging people for stuff. And anyway, as someone who, just as a creative outlet, someone that does production, occasionally spits a few bars every once in a while, I know I respect the people that came before, and I know that I get it, things change, but I'm also, I'm aware of, the foundation of it. Now, I'm not saying go straight wearing flat tops and wearing Adidas track pants and, shell-toe Adidas and all. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that I noticed that, especially in art, I guess I'm like caught up between millennials and Z because they keep making up new terms for different generations. But think with among my generation, you may have a select few that actually does the knowledge and appreciates the culture and the history that comes when it comes to music. But you got some that just keeps going forward, which I don't think is necessarily wrong to keep going forward. Being it's good to be progressive, but at the same time, you shouldn't forget what made it what it is. And here's my pro and my cons with it, right? With hip hop. Now, for those that don't know the origin of hip hop, now for those that don't know, it started in the Bronx, 70s. Uh, DJ Cool, or shout out to him, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame finally. Um, you know, came up with this concept of, you know, using breakbeats of old records at a party and just kind of letting the groove fill and thus becoming what we know as hip hop. As time went on, people started developing their own style and flavor to the genre, to the culture. The four elements, MC and DJing. Well, let me flip it. Because back then, DJ was important. Because the DJ was the person that was responsible for, the mix, the break, the groove. Then the MC. Then you on it. Then the graffiti. Then breakdance. That's when the 80s came along. Now, hip hop as a whole, always and will be the music that not only gets the party bumping, as they say, but also it was especially for inner city Black American and Latino, and don't get me wrong, blue whites that were a part of it. Not gonna be gatekeeping. There were some. I mean, there's documentaries that prove it. So I'm not gonna just make it a race thing. But people of that cloth, those kids, needed an outlet of expression, and hip hop was a perfect outlet for that. I mean, we can go from Fury Garments, Flash Furious 5, the Keras One, Boogie Down Productions, to let me see, got Run DMC, the Rakim. We go into that 80s. 80s had like their own flair to it. 80s started becoming more intricate. As far as the 70s, like I said, it was more party oriented, etc., etc. It was all about the groove of it, right? 80s, started getting a little more intricate. Like I said, guys like Rakim and Slick Rick, Big Daddy Kane. I mean, even Cool G Rap and started to get a little mainstream appeal with guys like LL Cool J becoming like probably. I think LL was probably like the first main star. Then something around it happened. Like you had your socially conscious stuff. Everybody was all about, making a difference in your community, not destroying your community, but being an asset of it. But then around late 80s, a thing called gangster rap came in the whole. Guys like NWA and Ice-T and Schoolie D came into play. Now, they will probably say that they're more like street journalists explaining the issues of what goes on. Fair. You can make that assessment. But what if, portraying a bad image goes too far? If it's just more than just writing raps or saying lyrics? What if the impression or the visual can affect the mindset of young kids? Then once that happened in the 90s, started emulating that. You got your Bone Thugs, your Saints, you got your I'm acting like I don't know all these groups. Mobb Deep. I'm acting like I don't know these people. Your 3 6 ghetto boys. Things started to get a little, at the horrorcore sense. I mean, the 90s you still have a little mixture, then it started getting, your Biggie Pac, the usual suspects. I don't want to speed past it and give you like a whole history lesson, but for those that know, how everything went from straight party to socially conscious to that with gangster rap, drug culture, drug dealer culture, then where we're at now, which, and I don't want to be biased. I'm trying to be objective as possible. I'm not going to say, this generation is the worst or this is terrible, but because me personally, not everything in the eras I mentioned before was great. I don't think not every 90s rapper, people correlated with sports and all that. Like, I don't think every athlete, all the best athletes came out in the 90s. I don't think all the best rappers came out in the 90s. I think they had their moments, strong moments, but it's something that's missing. I do say around that late 2010s, creeping up to the 2020s, something kind of shifted. Something was missing. Something was missing about the music. And I think that's the big problem with it. What's going on right now? I mean, they just said, like, before, who was it? Lil Uzi had a #1 album. They said they didn't even have a hip hop, which is supposedly the #1 genre in the world, didn't have a #1 album for the first 7 months of this year until that album came out. Not like single, like album. Hip hop didn't have a #1 album, but we're the biggest genre in the world. How is that possible? Because something is missing. What happened to the soul? What happened to the soulful feeling, that human connection with music? I always like to make comparisons and contrasts to some of the hip hop gatekeepers. What do they gatekeep exactly? Because hip hop, well, Gen X. Every time I think of Gen X, I think of MTV, Latchkey Kids, punk rock, but then I also think of Gen X as the hip hop generation because if you really think about most of the rappers that pretty much built the foundation of what is hip hop, because Gen X is like 65 to 1980. Most of the known rappers that we put on like our Mount Rushmores were born around those years. So like Gen X generation, I always call them, because my parents are Gen X, like the rebellious generation. They were the ones that really broke the rules. They didn't really have their parents around the house, so they was pretty much, which is it's a double-edged sword. It's great that they were able to grow up by themselves. They were able to do stuff they weren't supposed to do their age, right? That's how it sounds good on paper to say, like, yeah, when you know those stories that you hear your parents say, well, when I was this age, I was climbing Mount Everest to go to school, and like they're full of shit, but it's just like you don't want to say anything because they'll get offended, but then like if you try to question them and like say like I don't like how you was talking, they'll try to say I'm long with it, but the reason why I mention this is that these hip hop gatekeepers, again, keep in mind Gen X, I don't like some of their politics because what I've known hip hop to be, hip hop has always been the genre to break rules. That's why I fell in love with it in the first place. How dare you, using their words, take an old record, try to do whatever, something you do with it, lay some drums, add this, that, and the third, try to take someone's music and make it your own and act like you created this. How dare you do this? But then I'm not. I'm thinking, okay, do you say the same thing about a person taking a photograph and then saying it's not really art because it's not a painting? Or do you say the same thing about a movie director who doesn't write scripts or come up with ideas from his thought? But I'll make an example. If y'all know who Stanley Kubrick is, one of the greatest directors probably ever. Most of his movies, right, are based off of books and or short stories. From Full Metal Jacket to Clockwork Orange to Eyes Wide Shut to The Shining to A Space Odyssey. What else? To Spartacus, to Doctor Strange. Most of his movies, you can look this up. Most of his movies were based off of books and short stories. I asked this question: is he less of an artist because he doesn't write and direct his stuff from his own mind, like a Tarantino, like a Paul Thomas Anderson? Does it make him any different? And what? But that's what I don't like about some of the gatekeepers and also the naysayers when it comes to this, because they'll hype up any producer, put them on a pedestal, then touch a lick of instrument. Probably doesn't even know how to read music, but will like give them to top in this genre. But will shun, like hip hop's been shunned for sampling and all that. And I might do a separate episode on that. For those that are into hip hop and like the production and all, I might do that. But it's just the hypocrisy that I don't like in a way. Like, does anybody give shit to Rick Rubin? I'm blocked if I say his name. But does everybody give Rick Rubin shit about him not, learning music? But yet he's still revealed as this god of a producer. But will tarnish guys like a Premier, a Dilla, a Madlib, because they sample and like they don't really create stuff from their own mind, all that nonsense. Well, take a composer. Is he really writing the music, or is he just directing the choir how to play it? Is he really a musician because he tells you what to do? Same way for a director. Is he really an artist because he didn't come up with the idea, but he's telling you how to? I know it may sound like I'm wrong, but the reason why I point this out is because hip hop has always been like that. I don't want to say bald-headed stepchild, but hip hop's always been misrepresented. And even within hip hop, even though we say we're overrepresented, not represented as a whole, back then, I think. Now it's like probably different, I don't know. But even like when it comes to regions, like there's even in hip hop there's like a bias, like I think there's still like a stigma that goes on, or like there's still like a stereotype that rappers from the South can't rap, but they act like every person from the East Coast can rap, knowing that's not true. They may sound good because they relate to some of the stuff y'all grew up knowing about because y'all grew up in the same boroughs, but that's one thing about hip hop I didn't like that it did. So why do I say this? What does this have to do with Yachty's take? What I mean is that we're talking about a guy that was, let's be honest, when he came to the game, wasn't given the greatest welcome. Let's be fair. Atlanta had like a prototype rapper. They had like, you know, I mean, as far as the Atlanta rappers we knew, we only knew about Gucci, Migos, T.I., Jeezy, guys like that. Um, I mean, in comes, you know, Lil Baby. I said Lil Baby. Lil Yachty. Uh, you know, this kind of tall, you know, dark skinned dude that's real melodic, you know, with reddish braids. Uh, kind of has like a gargle voice when he talks. Like he was already like out it from the jump. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say like, yeah, I was a big fan of his music, but I will say I am a big. I'm a person that likes people that are outside of the box, which I also think, which is contradicting that hip hop does a lot. You know, we always talk about staying original, but then when someone comes in a different way, out the norm, we kind of shit on them. Did the same thing to Outkast with the Source Awards. You know, dudes from Atlanta talking that talk. You know, New Yorkers couldn't really get it. So what happens when you don't really get something you don't understand? You kind of shun it, toss it to the side, don't really care about it, etc., etc. But time passed, you know, still getting hate. But instead of, and this is when, you know, downside of the Yachty, where his ego's kind of getting inflated, where sometimes you gotta kind of know a little bit of where you, the, you know, the genre, the profession that you're in. Every other genre pays respect to people that they grew up on, that their parents grew up on, or what artists were like the top tier of it, the top. I think Yachty, if he didn't come out the gate with a sense of arrogance, I think he would have. I mean, from what I see, I think he's doing stuff behind the scenes, but maybe if he didn't come off as arrogant a little bit, because I think another thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way about him is, you know, which I think a lot of rappers do, is that they're not funny anymore. You notice that? Like, what happened to rappers? Like, you know, music videos like Redman, Busta Rhymes, Little Christmas, you know, you saw that it was colorful and fun, and it was exciting. When you saw the video, you was like ready to jump up. There was like a soulful energy to it. Like, you look at a music video nowadays, you know, it's real dark and like scary when you watch it. It's like, damn, is it like Halloween? Is it like Devil's Night when I'm watching this shit? Like, why is it so dark? Like, why is there snakes? Am I seeing blood? Like, why am I seeing all these things right now? Like, a lot of the energy is like real dark. But at Yachty's case, I think that whole I want to be different shtick didn't really sell, because it's like, okay, you want people to see you because you're different, but you have this, oh, I'm better. I'm not supposed to know who this person is. Like, I think if he wasn't saying too much, but then, hey, let's be honest. Around that time, he was young, like maybe, you know, 18, 19, so he didn't have, maybe had the best media training per se. He didn't understand that some people could take his words out of context, so I would give him a pass for that. But I mean, when you having lyrics like the ones you're saying, but you're talking about hip hop's at a dangerous place, Because we're not back in the we're not doing. No, y'all have to set the tone. Same thing for these older rappers. Like all these older rappers is like not being their authentic selves anymore. It's like they're going back to that moment that they had. Like I'm seeing like guys like Drake and Nicki, like they still sound like how they were when I was like in high school. You know, Busta Rhymes. I didn't listen to Busta Rhymes, but they're saying he doing shit for the kids. I'm like, someone like a Michael Jackson or a Prince would never have to, dumb themselves down just to, get any sort of, profit or any sort of sales. It would never happen. They would have never buckled down. A lot of people are becoming like carbon copy. There's no feeling in the music no more. Everything is just robotic, and it's no depth. There's no energy to it. It's like everything's dead. Like ODB, he said it best. With certain radio companies, they have a thing where they use mind control and they keep a certain song in your head and they program you to become like that. That's why you got these 5'7", a buck 05, soaking wet dudes thinking they're young boy because young boy acts the way. When I guarantee young boy don't even act like that. But these are my final thoughts. Let me get the transition. If it'll work. Why isn't this still working? Anyway, I'll keep going with something. But final thoughts. I'm never gonna stop loving hip hop. I'm not gonna stop appreciating the genre and the culture. What I am gonna not deal with is having a generation of, individuals that don't really pour from the heart and the spirit, but then want to have this arrogance about themselves, like they just know better, or they don't know why it got into a place where it's like, oh, why is hip hop in this? Well, kind of part of the reason. Like I said, I'm not saying don't shoot the messenger, but if the messenger is sending bad news intentionally, then you kind of got to look at it a certain way. That's what I usually think. But, nowadays you can't tell, and that's the problem. Like, who's going to be the teachers? Like, listening to certain rappers, I think, again, not taking their stuff at, full surface level, but it's like, sometimes when you listen to the right rappers, they actually say some stuff that you could learn. You can learn from some J. Cole stuff. You can learn from a Common. You can learn from, all the usual suspects, Kendricks, all that. You can learn from guys like that. The problem is nobody wants to learn anything because this age that we're in, everybody thinks they know everything. And when you have a generation of everybody thinking they know everything, you're losing educators and teachers and, your sages. Some of our lyricists, MCs, if you want to use that term, they was young. They understand how it was. But as they got older, they were able to, the right rappers, I should say, they grew with their music. And when you have listeners that don't really want to necessarily grow, it's kind of hard to really drum it in their head exactly what you want them to do. Thus, you got a whole plethora of individuals that kind of walk around with no purpose, it's like soulless. Like I said, they're walking soul is like The Walking Dead, literally The Walking Dead. Like I say, you can be alive, breathing, and still be dead. Like a lot of kids, like these kids, man, like they don't respect nothing. The entitlement is like insane. But the flip side, that Gen X generation didn't want to do what their parents did. So a rebellious generation trying to raise a generation to follow orders is not really going to work. It doesn't really work out like that. Actually messing yourself up. You're shooting yourself in the foot thinking like that. And I think that, not mind you, sometimes, the Gen Z, sometimes they get a little overboard, because you have those that, think because they saw something on TikTok, all of a sudden they know better than, you know, the person who's been doing this profession for 20, 30 years. So that can get annoying. I've actually seen it. Someone say like, "Oh, because I saw something on TikTok, so I like I said, it's nobody's really going to school no more. It's like TikTok and YouTube University. That's what everybody's doing right now. But what can I say? But like I said, if that's what you want to do, hey, that's on you. But hey, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, iHeart, all that. Uh, Let me know what y'all think. Y'all think y'all lost a song? What happened to it? Let me know what y'all think. But until then,